Hello, and welcome back. Estrella here with another part of the two Hollywood vampires we have come to know and love. Today, we are exploring the two male vampires and how their differences relate to the changing ideas of masculinity. Here we have from predator to protector, masculinity in Nosferatu and Twilight. Let's get into it. Oh, but before that, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that noti bell. Okay, now let's get into it. The vampire has long functioned as a cultural barometer for social anxieties, particularly those surrounding gender and power. Across the 20th and early 21st centuries, the figure of the male vampire undergoes a striking transformation. A comparison between Count Orlok in Nosferatu and Edward Cullen in Twilight by Stephanie Meyer reveals a profound shift in cultural conceptions of masculinity. While Orlok embodies a model of masculinity defined by invasion, domination, and existential threat, Edward represents a reconfigured masculine ideal centered on restraint, emotional vulnerability, and ethical self-regulation. This evolution reflects broader social changes in attitudes towards male power, sexuality, and heroism. Released in 1922 and directed by F.W. Murnau, Nosferatu emerged from a Germany destabilized by World War I, economic crisis, and lingering trauma from the influenza pandemic. Within this context, Count Orlok operates less as an individual character and more as a manifestation of collective dread. His physical form, gaunt, bald, clawed, and corpse-like, rejects romantic appeal. He is visually coded as unnatural and invasive. Orlok's masculinity is defined by predation. He travels across borders, infiltrates domestic space, and preys upon the vulnerable. His desire is neither reciprocal nor restrained, and it is unilateral and consuming. In this sense, Orlok embodies what might be termed hyper-masculinity, unchecked appetite coupled with physical dominance. He does not experience moral hesitation, nor does he express emotional complexity. His presence destabilizes households and spreads death, linking male desire with contamination and collapse. This representation reflects early 20th century anxieties about masculine authority. In the aftermath of mechanized warfare and mass casualties, traditional ideals of male strength and national expansion appeared both powerful and catastrophic. Orlok can be read as a distorted image of those ideals. Masculinity, unmoored from ethical constraint, becomes monstrous. The narrative resolution, his destruction by sunlight, symbolically purges this threat, restoring social order by eliminating the invasive male force. Thus, in Nosferatu, masculinity is externalized as danger. Male power is not something to be refined or reformed. It must be eradicated when it exceeds moral boundaries. By contrast, Edward Cullen emerges in a vastly different cultural landscape. Published in 2005, Twilight reflects a societal shaped by conversations about consent, emotional intelligence, and gender equality. Edward possesses extraordinary strength and predatory capacity, yet these traits are not at the core of his identity. Instead, his defining characteristic is restraint. Edward's masculinity is constructed around control. He fears harming Bella Swan and therefore disciplines his desires, both sexual and violent. His heroism lies not in a conquest, but in a self-regulation. Where Orlok's hunger defines him, Edward's refusal to indulge his hunger defines him. He is dangerous, but he chooses gentleness. This shift mirrors broader transformations in masculine ideals. Late 20th and early 21st century discourse increasingly questioned aggressive male dominance and valorized emotional expressiveness. Edward is introspective, guilt-ridden, and openly affectionate. His vulnerability enhances rather than diminishes his appeal. Emotional articulation, once coded as weakness in traditional masculine frameworks, becomes evidence of moral depth. Furthermore, Edward's relationship with Bella emphasizes consent and mutual desire even within a dynamic that includes protective instincts. While some critics argue that his protectiveness borders on over-control, the narrative consistently frames his restraint as virtuous. Masculine power is acceptable, even desirable, when it is ethically governed. In this model, masculinity is not eradicated but rehabilitated. Strength remains, yet it is meaningful only when subordinated to moral choice. The contrast between Orlok and Edward is particularly stark in their treatment of sexuality. In Nosferatu, male desire is invasive and destructive. The vampire's approach to Ellen evokes violation rather than romance. Sexuality destabilizes the domestic sphere, reinforcing fears of corruption and loss of purity. In Twilight, however, sexuality becomes a site of tension managed through discipline. Edward's attraction to Bella is intense, but is framed as dangerous precisely because it must be controlled. The emphasis on waiting, consent, and self-denial transform desire from a symbol of threat into a measure of moral character. The masculine ideal shifts from possession to protection. This transformation reflects a broader cultural reorientation. Whereas early 20th century narratives often position male sexuality as destabilizing external force, contemporary narratives increasingly focus on the internal management of desire. Masculinity is judged by the ability to regulate impulse rather than assert dominance. The evolution from Orlok to Edward also marks a shift from externalized to internalized conceptions of evil. Orlok exists in a moral universe defined by clear binaries: monster and human, predator and victim. He lacks interiority, functioning as an embodiment of fear itself. Edward, conversely, is defined by interior conflict. His struggle is psychological rather than purely physical. The central drama of Twilight is not whether he will conquer others, but whether he will conquer himself. This reflects modern cultural emphasis on individual psychology and moral ambiguity. Evil is no longer solely an outside invader, it is a potential within the self. Consequently, masculinity transforms from an overwhelming force to a continuous ethical project. Power is measured not by domination, but by self-command. Count Orlok and Edward Cullen illustrate a century-long reconfiguration of masculine ideals. In Nosferatu, masculinity is monstrous when untethered from moral constraint. It invades, it consumes, and it must be destroyed. In Twilight, masculinity is romanticized when disciplined. It protects, restrains, and seeks ethical alignment. The vampire, once a figure of predatory male threat, becomes a fantasy of controlled intensity. This transformation reveals changing cultural priorities from fears of societal collapse and invasive power to concerns about intimacy, consent, and emotional responsibility. Through these two characters, the evolution of masculinity becomes visible, not as a linear progression, but as a shifting negotiation between strength and restraint, desire and discipline, danger and devotion. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that noti bell. And stay tuned for more videos from us. And as always, stay safe, courteous, and polite out there. Until next time. And remember, stay anomalous.